We are here with Josh Jones. We're at Spokane Valley Archery. We are definitely 6 feet apart. Guys, we're doing a follow-up video to the Spot Hogg versus Black Gold. We're bringing in Josh Jones. If you've never caught some of our videos with Josh, he's like my archery mentor. He is an absolute pain in my ass. He tells me the truth, and a lot of times it's harsh, but it's good to have someone in your corner that actually wants you to get better. This is that guy. He's been doing this since he's a little boy. His dad owned an archery shop, an outdoor store, and then grew into archery. And so he's been working on bows, I think, since the age of 11 and maybe younger. And the guy has forgot more than I'll ever know. So we bring him on here to basically answer you armchair quarterbacks, you keyboard warriors. No, but he's our subject matter expert. So we're going to talk about the sights. So we did a review, Josh, from a hunting perspective on Black Gold versus Spot Hogg Fast Eddie. I like having both. I couldn't pick a winner. I did a scorecard, and I'd say it came down to price is the only real difference. Is you're going to pay a little bit more, but you're gonna get more options with the Pro Sight. And then lastly, for elk, I just preach multiple pins. So what's your thoughts on the sights?
Well, first of all, price is a variant of which model you're comparing. So one thing Black Gold does, and so does Spot Hogg, is they have a variety of SKUs and choices at different price points. So it depends on if we're comparing apples to apples. Like a Pro Sight versus a Fast Eddie XL isn't a super fair comparison because of the price difference. But if you want to start being fair on a comparison, it'd be more like the Mountain Light or the Ascent Verdicts multiple pin versus a Fast Eddie XL. Right. Those are really more a similar sight. They make those in dovetails and whatnot. And so your Mountain Light is a direct mount, not a dovetail. We can argue whether or not dovetail is a good thing or a bad thing. It has its place, but to me, its place belongs in a target realm. Your direct mount is going to allow you to attach a quiver to it a lot better and at a lower profile and a less physical weight with less things that can come loose. Because on your dovetail, it's going to have a direct mount bracket that has 2 screws in it to mount to the side of your bow, and then an additional piece that slides into the rail. On a direct mount style like this, there's only 2 screws. There's no additional piece that moves. So there's less individual parts. Less individual parts usually means less likelihood of something coming loose. So, and with both the Fast Eddie versus the Fast Eddie XL, that's the direct mount, the dovetail version. The Mountain Light Ascent versus the Ascent Verdicts versus the Ascent Verdicts dovetail, they have different brackets and different attachments. So you can get either or. In my personal opinion, you're a lot better off going this route because there's less stuff going on and it adapts the quiver better. But once again, both of them offer that option. There's only a few really small differences and detailed differences between them, which we've covered a couple of times, but I'll go over it again. The rail, or the part that moves up and down on this sight, can turn left or right. Spot Hoggs can't. That's really the only true core difference between them. And on a bow like you have, where it's a true dual cam system, basically, they don't call it that, but that's basically what it is. It's equidistant left to right. It should track straight with your riser. It shouldn't be different than your riser. When hybrid systems, single cam systems, etc., if you look at the string in relation to the riser, it's not square to the riser. Thus, your arrow track probably isn't going to be square with what you're bolting your sight onto. The ability to move that rail is only relevant if your string and your riser aren't square to each other. So if you can put a level on your string and a level on your riser and they match, you don't need that. But most of them don't. 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 Why it's relevant.
I think what you said that stood out to me, and I trust Josh's advice for the most part, is I threw the dovetail Fast Eddie XL on the VXR in November when we set up, when we first got it. And we weighed the bow, and bro, it was like 8-something pounds. It's just too much. Yeah, and then we brought back to the Fast Eddie with just the direct mount, and it shaved some weight. And like you said, keep it simple, stupid, and I could get my quiver. I love that. They also make the Rush. Is they still make the Rush? Is that?
Yeah, it's just a basic fixed pin sight. They make the Rush, they make the Widowmaker, they make the Vengeance, they make the Pro Sight direct mount option without the movable chassis too. One nice thing about Black Gold is if you want it a certain way, you can pretty much ask for it and they will make it happen for the most part, as long as they make a part. So like you can take a Pro Sight, these normally don't come with a direct mount, but I have mortared in like this because it's less hardware, it's less weight. So you're not adding it, but you're still getting all the features of your typical Pro Sight. without the dovetail, without the excessive hardware. And it's cheaper because that's an expensive piece of metal. This is not so expensive because they make that on that. And the other cool thing that they added to every line in the sight on black gold, not just the mountain light, is dual indicator needles.
Right, that's nice.
And what that is when you have like a 3-pin head like this, or a 5-pin head, or whatever number of pins, you can pick 2 of those and set your indicator needles where they match your sight tape. And why that matters is when you move it all the way up to the top, most people are running like 20, 30, 40. Well, that gap is not going to be the same out when you move to distance. So as you move that top pin that you're using to aim off of at 20 out to 60, for example, your other pin isn't automatically at 80 yards. But if you have dual indicator needles, it will tell you what yardage the other pin's at. So if you have to make a quick shot and you're kind of estimating how far that shot's going to be, you have a second mark of reference of how far out that is. So you can use the other pin relevantly. It's honestly a takeoff of the Fast Steady XL double pin or the Fast Steady double pin.
Right.
But an adjustable pin instead of fixed and predetermined distance.
I like that.
It's a neat feature.
Last thing I want to talk about on the sights, and this is a little more advanced, but for those using like a Hamskea 3rd-axis leveling tool, is there any differences in putting those on the housing when you're making adjustments in your shop or whatever, or any tips?
On a third, it's attached to your riser. It's not attached to the sight, so it's the same.
Okay, I guess 2nd axis or 1st axis and 2nd axis, putting that level on your sight.
Neither of them adapt super well. Okay. It's kind of the thing. And it's all in how they're machined.
Yeah.
So if there's a big flat surface that you can attach it to, so you can actually get a relevant square edge, they've taken so much meat out of all of them that there's not really a great flat spot. So it's kind of tricky getting it mounted up there. And you can hold it against it if you can't mount it up and just find a square surface that you don't have to try to push the applicator onto to compare and then let go of it, make an adjustment, hold it back up against it. If you can't get a spot to actually clamp it down on. Neither of them really do anymore. They're making it awkward to clamp a level onto it, basically. And I don't think it's by design or by purpose. I think it's a matter of they're taking as much metal out of there that you don't need as possible. So it lowers and reduces the weight. Hence your complaint about how heavy it is. They're trying to take as much weight out of it as they can. You don't end up with a whole lot of big square solid surfaces anymore at that point. So it's hard to get it to attach. But you can hold it against it as long as you're pushing the right side against something flat.
Okay.
Without having to clamp it from the backside. And that's actually pretty easy to do.
Okay, guys, so there was our follow-up video to that Pro Sight versus Fast Steady XL. Josh Jones, svaorders@gmail.com. You want to have Josh work on your bows, send him an email, get a hold of him. You can call Spokane Valley Archery, and these guys can tune your bow. And we just want to give them a plug here. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.